This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is a beautiful all-in-one platform to make your online dreams come true. Stay tuned till the end of the video for more details. Hold the phone. This is a Pokemon? Alright, let's be real. Obviously, Magikarp is a Pokemon. He's one of the OGs hanging on the back streets in a b-boy stance listening to the newest YouTube remix of To Be a Master. But take that away and, well, it's just an oblong carp with a Fu Manchu and those dead eyes. Eyes that stare into the very soul, penetrating so deep, perhaps they are seeing the you within you. The extragalactic resonance that imbues you with the magnetic force of the cosmos. Being a child of the singularity, unfolding from itself, destined to return one day as particles to the core. Whoa, Magikarp, chill out. I see what you're saying, buddy, but the chitlins may not be ready for your truth of truths. Perhaps this is why such a dinky and useless mon is so unusually popular? Because let's be real, never before has there been a carp of such clout. This orange flopping creature of memes has dominated the collective Pokemon consciousness since its ineptitude first took root in our psyche. That's a fancy way of saying Magikarp sucks! Or does it? Have you ever laid eyes upon a Magikarp and felt better about yourself? Have you ever wondered what even a Magikarp is good for?
No.
I'm Grant. I'm here today with Ryan, who's real Debbie Downer.
Is this video gonna involve the tribe like last time?
The crippling self-doubt just made me want to transcend this illusory existence and simply swim with the whales and dolphins in space.
I still don't get the whole dolphin thing.
Of course it will. And you, gentle viewer, have you ever wondered what Magikarp is even good for? Have you ever looked at Magikarp and felt better about yourself? Answer them in your head. I know the answer was yes to both those questions. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for the story of how Magikarp became the meme of dreams. For the tale of human nature manifested in a carp. This is the story of Magikarp. The story you never knew. Whoa! Come on! In order to understand Magikarp, we first must know what is true and what isn't. Let's start with the first myth that Magikarp sucks.
Really sad.
Or does it? That was the statement/question combo I kicked off this video with, and I aim to deliver on it. At first glance, Magikarp is utterly pathetic. This creature is to be pitied, and it is only deserving of kindness because it is living, not because it is good for anything. Perhaps you recall the Pokemon episode Battle Aboard the Saint Anne, where they called the boat in Pokemon the Saint Anne instead of the SS Anne, and no one knows why. It's also when Misty confided in us that she likes sunbathing on dick.
Sunbathing on deck all day.
I can't say I blame you, Misty. This is also the episode where Ash says Charmander.
Charmander.
It's also when Ash's Butterfree fought an old-timey Monocle Man's Raticate in a battle that's just asking to become a watch Raticate and Butterfree fight for 10 hours straight video. All Aboard the Saint Anne is also the very first episode with Magikarp taking a central role. A white guy doing his best Hispanic accent sells James a Magikarp, and all it cost him was next month's salary for him and Jesse.
I want you to have a look at this Pokemon, a Magikarp. This Magikarp is like a Pokemon gold mine. A Magikarp lays 1,000 eggs at a time. Each of those 1,000 baby Magikarp lay 1,000 more. 1,000 times 1,000 makes 1 million times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1 lays another 1,000 times 1,000.
Billions? Take it! It was to make Team Rocket billionaires, but really this Whitey McWhiterson Cholo was just talking out his ass. James returns to his team with his prize, but is told he's been duped. However, he holds out hope his carp in a golden Pokeball will deliver on its potential. And wouldn't you know it, the ocean god was angry, and he sank the Saint Anne with the power of his trident, probably. The mighty ship sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Everyone important to the plot is still on board, including Team Rocket. Water threatens everything, and yet a ray of hope. Go, Magikarp! Yells James, basically, but it is useless. Hope of escape is crushed by utter uselessness. James becomes infuriated by Magikarp, punting it into the ocean when all feels lost. It evolves into Gyarados. Gyarados then proceeds to chase them out of anger and dragon rages everyone into another continent. The wrath of the carp has been felt. To anyone who knows anything about Pokemon, Gyarados is the only real reason anyone would catch a Magikarp. Duh! That's been old news since forever ago. An evolution from flopping fish to terrifying sea dragon is pretty dope. In that sense, Magikarp's uselessness is a myth. But as far as the fish itself, well, James's Magikarp got a good punting for how bad it was. For more on how much Magikarp sucks, let's go to my buddy Lockstin over at Gnoggin.
Hello, it's Lockstin, and I'm going to tell you all about Magikarp, the fish Pokemon. So bad that its biggest claim to fame is that it's a fish. It's water type, clearly. And look at these stats! It's so stupid! It's ranked as the 7th worst Pokemon. But at least most of the ones that are somehow worse are worms. Yeah, worms! And they evolve pretty early, so you don't gotta deal with them much. Raising a Magikarp is like playing golf. You do it as little as possible, and everybody hates it unless they're boring. And that's not even the worst part. If intelligence was a stat in Pokemon, its int would be nothing. No, not even 0. Just straight up not applicable. Oh, you want proof of that? It's so dumb. It doesn't even realize that, like every other fish Pokemon, it could just float around in the air, no problem. But it doesn't, so it flops. It's also like the only Pokemon you can find from level 1 to 100. They are so dumb that a lot of them can't even evolve without your help. And its best move is it just falling out of the water. It's like Nathan Drake's down aerial in PlayStation All-Stars. Really bad and stupid. So it's also like PlayStation All-Stars. Really bad and stupid. Yet for some reason, some people still like it. Maybe because they see a bit of themselves in it. They relate to it. Because it's bad and stupid. I promise I'm not usually this mean. Actually, there's a really neato fun fact about why Gyarados isn't dragon type. Anything that is granted the power of a dragon in Chinese myth is actually also able to have their dragon status stripped away from them if they don't deserve it because they abused their powers. Like if they were mean or rude about it. And guess what Gyarados just happens to be famous for? Being rude and raging all around. So, while it's a dragon, it's had its dragon status removed. More details in this video over on my channel if you're interested.
Thanks, Lockstin. You're definitely part of the tribe. But what if you're wrong? What if Magikarp was capable of true heroics? In the next season of Pokemon, our epic Carp pushed the boundaries of everything we believed it to be. The Orange Islands was the season that assured us that we all live in a Pokemon world. It also showed us a side of the meme we'd never seen before. An extremely tan Nurse Joy tells her story of when she was a child and found a Magikarp flopping helplessly on the beach. She helped it back into the water, and then sometime later she literally was about to drown when a giant Magikarp rose from the depths as a hero of the sea. It was the one she saved. From then on, Tan Nurse Joy was inspired to not only be a Pokemon healer, but to become one that would throw off the shackles of the 9 to 5 at the Pokemon Center and travel from island to island healing Pokemon who need a loving touch. She wants to care for those Pokemon who don't have the luxury of a trainer taking care of them. Could it be that Magikarp's patheticness actually produced a net positive in the universe? Futile flopping was a sight that made a young future nurse feel concern for a living thing that could not help itself. If two beings who resonate with each other cross paths and it changes the course of lives, does that not mean the fish was useful? Indeed, after being rescued, Magikarp grew up to be a magnificent fish of massive size. Joy then adopted the creature and together they healed the world. Then it became a Gyarados to save everyone. But it was dope before that too. Could it be that James simply did not love his Magikarp enough for it to become something great without evolving? Fast forward to Magikarp's next featured appearance. In The Wacky Watcher, a Pokemon watcher named Professor Quackenpoker is also Groucho Marx. He is a passionate man with a quick wit who has spent his whole career studying Magikarp. If there's anyone who can tell us the deeper secrets of the fish, it's him. Truth is, these fish were all born on Rhine Island, at least the ones we see in this episode. They all went their separate ways, but once a year, they all come back to the place of their birth and attempt to swim up a waterfall. For the rest of the year, they are all out at sea, training their minds and bodies for the ceremonial climb up the falls in the place from whence they came. A weak carp pushing its limits and accomplishing something that fate demands. There is symbolism there. So much symbolism, in fact, that the legend of Magikarp comes from an ancient Chinese myth. In the myth, lowly koi fish would return once a year to a waterfall called the Dragon Gate. All would try to climb the falls, but only a select few succeeded. Those who made it to the top would become a dragon. This idea spoke so deeply to the human condition that it also spread to Buddhist philosophy. In both the ancient Chinese legend and the Buddhist offshoot, the carp placed above a waterfall is representative of a person overcoming struggle. This image is a symbol. There's even a Chinese saying, a student facing their examinations is like a carp attempting to leap the Dragon Gate. This piece of Magikarp lore is so intrinsic to its design it was mirrored in the cult classic Pokemon Snap almost perfectly. But there simply must be more. You could say Magikarp was a meme before it was ever a Pokemon. What are myths but memes of olden times? Religious memes, but memes nonetheless. Before the image macros, before the online flurry of shitposts, Magikarp meant something to the wisest philosophers of centuries past. So then, our orange protagonist has capabilities revealed to us by deep thinkers and Tan Nurse Joy. Magikarp is a symbol for human perseverance and a shining example of the power of love. But what if Magikarp went even deeper? Back to the Wacky Watcher, Professor Quackenpoker explains he finds Magikarp to be the hardest Pokemon to understand. That's why he's focused so much of his life on them. Later in the episode, a Carpy Boy attached itself to James's head. Team Rocket pulls frantically, but it's only when Groucho Marx treats Magikarp with a delicate touch of love and respect the fish unlatches. Oh, Quackenpoker. So knowledgeable, yet so gentle. And that's not all! Fast forwarding to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, there's a trainer named Orally who prefers to do things orally. She also loves her Magikarp and never wants it to change. Her Magikarp is so impressive it gives Ash's Pikachu a run for its money despite being weak against electric attacks for being a water type. Can you believe this? What? The upper limits of Magikarp's strength continue to reveal themselves to us. But something is missing. Life isn't only about strength. If there's anything we learned from Tan Nurse Joy's love affair with the fish and Quackenpoker's burning passion for the whole species, it's that love can conquer much. Indeed, even Oraly's impressive Magikarp has been augmented by the love she feels for her Pokemon. But is Magikarp that simple? Is Magikarp capable of impressive physical abilities so long as its trainer loves it enough to work through the initial stages of weakness? Is Magikarp simply a lesson in the power of empathy and perseverance because the fish itself is useless at first? Not entirely. Notice, if you will, that our floundering fish's shiny form is gold. In Pokemon XY, in fact, there's an episode called Going for the Gold, and there's a shiny gold Magikarp of legend, embodied in a gold statue. Turns out at the end of the episode, it winds up being a real fish. Wow. As we all know, gold is a precious metal of which countries with legitimate banking systems base their national currency off of. For years now, Russia and China have been hoarding as much gold as they can for the eventual nuclear apocalypse of which we hang over on a finger's edge. Gold, the original ornament of the gods. Why is it bequeathed unto this fish which knows not but splash?
But my piss is also gold! Does that mean—
Ryan, what the fuck?
So, what is the answer then?
Well, the answer is simple. Within the carp exists the answers to the unknown. No, not those stupid Squigglemons, but the deep unknown. In the video, the Magikarp song by the Pokemon Company, the lyrics allude to ancient times when the Magikarp were more powerful, but then acknowledges the species' current weakness. Despite the song saying Magikarp being more powerful in the past is probably wrong, multiple Pokédex entries back this idea up. So, what happened? Why have the carp lost their strength? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? The look upon the face of the most magic of carps is not one of stupidity, but instead is one of profound enlightenment. These eyes stare off into distant pasts and futures, the fifth dimension of which our measly human brains cannot perceive. The carp has cast off its previous power for a more simple, more playful form. One that simply loves to splash and has no desire for conflict. It acknowledges and accepts its role as the most mediocre Pokemon and fears not the threat of another. For Magikarp is beyond such earthly woes. It is a child of the cosmos. We have, however, learned it is capable of impressive strength when it crosses paths with love. This makes sense for an enlightened creature, so long as love fuels it. Conflict does not pollute this divine mind. It should also be noted that, according to the Pokédex, this creature can survive in the dirtiest of waters, as though its divine nature protects it from the most heinous of filth.
So, over the years, Magikarp became so enlightened
Profoundly so.
that it simply gave up its power because it no longer had a desire to fight in earthly conflicts. So, now it just wears that stupid face and just stares off into the distance.
That's what enlightenment looks like.
Hey guys, I'm enlightened too!
Stop it, Ryan! You're distracting people! I haven't even explained Gyarados yet!
So what does all this enlightenment stuff mean about Gyarados then, Grant?
But what about Gyarados, you may ask? Especially within its shiny form as well, and its role in the games. The red Gyarados. Red, the color of Mars, the god of war. The color you see while in murderous rage is the sheen of the special 1 in 21,000 or whatever Gyarados is. Because, my friends, it is pissed. Angry. Gyarados is the power Magikarp passed off in ancient times and is brought about when Magikarp is forced to withdraw from the greater cosmos and focus on more earthly woes. It is the passion that grows within the dispassionate and perverts the nature of the golden Magikarp into a being of blood-red rage. Truly, pacifism is the way to the cosmos, is it not? Because Magikarp is one of the tribe. Perhaps you'll recall from my last video that we broadcasted a spiritual message of such clarity that those who watched could not help but join the galactic tribe of ascended sea creatures. Magikarp is the perfect example of those who embody the tribe, contently spending its days staring into the galactic ether, in tune with the dolphins and the old ones. A Poke-Buddha who naturally has no will to fight and only a latent ability to do so. It has no wish, no desires, but simply exists as a reminder that there is another path that transposes the physical realm. To bring Magikarp back down to Earth with pointless violence is to sully its enlightenment, polluting its core to become the perverse monster of rage which calls upon the power of the angry dragon to decimate the land. That is Magikarp, the golden fish fist of the Bodhisattva, the unlikely wise one, the channel and the channel between us selfish beings and the peace of the cosmos. It wears its nirvana under robes of mediocrity so as not to disturb its euphoria with unnecessary attention. That's the story of a fish who transcended mortal minds. The story of helpless flopping being a symbol for the highest lessons. That's the story of Magikarp. The story you never knew. And now for the time you've all been waiting for, the newest member of the tribe, Squarespace, whose CEO may or may not be a dolphin. Squarespace is a super easy to use platform for making websites. You want to make a domain, make a website, online store? Do it with Squarespace. None of those pesky plugins necessary. They've also got a user interface so advanced that only the galactic tribe of dolphins and whales could have come up with it. It's gorgeous and easy to use. Just try it for yourself and go to squarespace.com/Treesicle and enter offer code Treesicle for 10% off your first purchase. And thank you to Squarespace for joining the galactic tribe. We will all become enlightened together. My name is Grant, and I'll see you all next time. Join the tribe.